All right. So, ma'am, normally I would ask if folks want to sign a consent, but you have filed a counterclaim and answer, or you filed an answer?
Yes, Your Honor. Would you like for me to stand also when answering?
You don't have to.
Okay, thank you so much. Just wanted to make sure. But yes, Your Honor, answer, affirmative defenses, and counterclaims.
Okay, let me take a look at your answer. I'm not in this courtroom very often, but every time I say that, then I end up back in here. Are you counterclaiming for a DVPO?
Malicious prosecution, Your Honor.
I don't know whether I can hear counterclaims in here because it's just set up for DVPOs, but if you give me 1 second, I'll try to find out. I've never seen the only other claims I've seen in here filed with the DVPO are attorney's fees.
Yes, Your Honor, and I concur. I've included that in this case for litigative proceedings after this hearing. So it's been included generally so. But I concur with you. Typically, the hearing on the DVPO, of course, is heard, and then any subsequent action will be heard in a different hearing, because I did not calendar a motion in that regard. But of course, my answer and affirmative defenses are valid.
Okay.
For this
All
hearing.
right. Give me 1 second. Let me just double check my stats. I'm going to double check. I'll be right back.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, yeah, so I'll hear your DVPO, and your counterclaims will go to civil court. My clerk's going to find out how to get those done.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so I'll start with you, sir. It's your burden to prove to the court why you're seeking a domestic violence action, and then I'll go to the defendant. You can tell me why he shouldn't get one. I'm start with you first. You can testify on your own behalf. Once you're done, if you want to call a witness, you can call a witness. Your witness will come to the stand. And you would only be able to address your witness in the form of a question, like you're cross-examining. And then the defendant would have an opportunity to also cross. Once you're done, then we'll go back over here. Okay?
Your Honor, I do object to this witness. This witness is completely impeachable and not credible under the rules of evidence. Number one, in character evidence, Deja Hill Mays actually also filed a falsified temporary restraining order complaint, which was twice denied, which constitutes malicious prosecution here in North Carolina. Equally, she is the co-conspirator and who I knew to be his ex-wife, estranged, and so there's bias there as well. So her testimony is not credible at all.
All right, so let me stop you. So that's something that you would address on your cross-examination, and you can make that argument in your closing, but it doesn't prevent her from testifying if she has relevant information to the court that's relevant to the DVPO.
Yes.
All right, sir, you want to tell me why you need a protective? So I see from the complaint you guys are former spouses?
Yes.
And you have a child?
As far as me and the witness? Or
No. I thought I saw a child in the
No
complaint. Oh. Okay. All right, so you and the witness has a child
Yes.
that has nothing to do. Okay. All right. Are you divorced or are you still married?
I'm still married.
How long have you guys been separated?
Oh, me and her has been separated since the 14th of February
Of this year?
of this year, yes.
But when I asked, are you married, you're married to the
No.
defendant?
I'm not. We were just boyfriend and girlfriend. I can go a little further.
That's okay.
Okay.
I just need to make sure you're in the right courtroom.
Okay.
All right, what do you need in order?
Harassment, stalking, and assault. Assault isn't on me though, it's on the witness.
All right, so those are both legal conclusions. Can you tell me what the acts are that you consider harassing or stalking?
So the harassment comes from multiple communication through text message, phone call, and email.
When you say multiple, give me some idea.
So phone calls coming from her and her, I guess, friend named Sarah. They were text messaging me. She was actually giving me calls and text messages and emails as far as Ms. Tigress.
Have you asked her not to contact you?
Yes, and it has been verbally and has been text.
And after you told her not to contact you anymore, she continues to contact?
Continuously, and then I come to find that my emails were taken over.
Or what?
My emails. I had 2 emails that were taken over.
Taken over?
Yeah, by Miss Daniels. She took over my emails by switching passwords and passkey.
Like pretending she's you using your email?
No, like actually taking my email, which is what I've had in my belongings.
So she's basically accessing your email.
And then locking me out where I can't get in, where I've had to figure out ways of getting back into my email, which one of them is my work email.
All right, can you give me a date as far as when the harassing behavior started?
After we broke up on the 14th, it was February 2025.
And since then, how many times has she called or texted?
I just actually got an email today. I don't know if you would consider it harassing, but I just got another email, second notice for criminal activity, blase, sweet, this, that, and the third today.
Okay. How many times? I need kind of like a general number.
Well over 10 plus.
10,000?
No, 10 plus times. Had witness visit, witness visits for like suicide watch 3 times in one day, one time.
Wait a minute. You say witness visits?
Yeah, to make sure, like wellness visits.
Oh, like she called the police to do a wellness visit on you 3 times in one day?
And actually stayed out in front of the residence of where I stayed at for various long times, even alluding to the cops that I needed to be checked over because I'm suicidal.
How do you know she placed a call?
I actually spoke with Mr. McDaniels on the phone, spoke to the police officer outside of the residence while letting him know that I am fine.
Okay. How many times, like in one day? Okay, so from February 14th till February today, the 25th, how many times has she contacted you?
1 second. Now, are these text messages or just?
Any type of contact that you feel is harassing?
So I would say it went on for the 15th to the time I put in the first TPO. So that would have been from the 15th to the 19th or the 20th. Communication between phone calls, emails, text messages. They kind of dwindled off of the phone calls and the text messages.
Tell me how many. I need to know the number.
Oh, it's like I have at least over 15 plus text messages. I would say about it's been I would hate to try to figure out a number because it was so many.
Yeah, you just You
And I don't
gotta
wanna
give me
lie.
something to work with,
Okay,
because your
at least-
lot might not be my lot.
Okay, so at least 20 times I've been communicated with between that time frame of the 15th to the 19th via phone call and text message.
What is she saying? I'm assuming she's not making direct threats, it's just the contact.
So if I could bring.
Go
the
ahead,
text-
look through your stuff. All right, I just get Judge Fleet to look at your counterclaim. We're just trying to figure out where it should be.
Affirmative defenses and counterclaims. Go down to the counterclaim. Ooh, it's hot in here. Can you get them to adjust your hair? Oof. Well, okay, go up one. Defenses. Okay, these are defenses to the DVPO. Oh, here's a thing.
You want me to move it so you can?
TR. What's the TRO? Is this the ex parte?
The TRO that that you're speaking about, is that the DVPO that we're doing now?
No, it is separate with regards to Deja Hill Maze.
Yeah.
I can give you the case number.
So it doesn't have anything to do with this?
It does. It's the same matter.
No, I mean, the
Oh.
acts in his DVPO.
Yes, it does.
It does?
Mm-hmm.
What's
Yes.
the other case number?
Case number,
Yeah.
whenever you're ready, I can give it to you.
Yes.
It is, and I learned of it from his probation officer when reporting their crimes against me. It's 25. I'm sorry, hold on.
Can I borrow your mouse? Thanks.
And when I get a second, ma'am, I would like to speak to you about that too as well.
Just a minute, please. Oh, sorry. So those are civil claims.
So she would have to,
Yeah, those are, so the cyber stalking, defamation, malicious prosecution, those are civil counterclaims, right?
so they'll be filed.
Affirmative defenses. Let me just look at that.
So they bounce to civil court.
Complaint for TRO. I need that case number. Do you have that case number with the TRO? What it looks like is an answer to the other case filed here. See what I'm saying? So I think this needs to be filed over there, but I need to look at that other case first.
This one needs to be filed in civil court.
Well, it's a counterclaim, answer and affirmative defenses, but it's referencing a temporary restraining order. So they may be appropriate answers to the other case, and that's where they need to be filed.
Oh, with the
Right,
other.
so if they're not answers to the specific DVPO allegations,
But
they don't belong in this pleading.
I don't think there's another.
That's what I'm asking. Do you have that other case?
I do.
number?
I have the case number,
Okay.
Your Honor. It's 25CV008538-590. I did inquire directly with the Sheriff's Department when learning of it on February 16th from the probation officer, Caleb Burst. And the Sheriff's Department did not find any summons or any information. And of course, we know that those cases are not readily accessible in Odyssey. And so I was only able to, of course, not being a layperson, I was able to file into the case in the e-file portal using the case number that had been provided to me, and it pulled right up. But I've not been served in that regard, and I will accept service in that regard as well, as clearly that's what I've been trying to do
All right,
so that I can resolve
hold
it. Yes, Your Honor.
1925 counterclaim, request to dismiss, denied.
Oh, and my,
So that pleading is a response, it's still referencing a TRO, but this is not a TRO, this is a civil no contact.
Your Honor,
Just, hold on, give me just
yes,
a minute. Can you open up, the complaint? That's why they related. This lady is his. So it's a 50C and a 50, it's a 50C, 50B, right? So the answer and counterclaims
Are directed to
are
this
directed
suspended.
at this document.
That one's been dismissed.
Right, so anything that references this individual, the voluntary dismissal has been heard. You don't have jurisdiction to hear a counterclaim on that. If there's any specific counterclaims just for him, just under the 50B, then you can, but this case is disposed. So the civil counterclaims, if she still wants to move forward on the civil counterclaims, have to be filed as a separate action because this one's been voluntarily dismissed.
Got it.
Is the interplay.
Thank you.
I concur, Your Honor. I concur, Your Honor. I was just going to advise Judge Fleet that it was set for 6510, and I did appear, and no one was present when I appeared.
Yeah, it's been voluntarily dismissed, but it's an interplay between a 50B and a 50C, and I'll let Judge McCallum.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so,
Your Honor, on a side note, may I get a copy of that complaint? Because I still don't have a copy of any of the case information as it relates to, of course, my counterclaim for malicious prosecution, even, of course, if it's not being handled today.
you want a copy of the complaint
Yes.
for?
And the voluntary dismissal that I'm just learning about today.
All right, can I give you the case numbers for those?
Thank you, Your Honor.
25 CV 00853 590. So it looks like your counterclaims on his complaint are directed towards this complaint, which is the girlfriend, no, I'm sorry, wife, the wife, and then this complaint was dismissed on February 19th. The plaintiff gives notice of voluntary dismissal without prejudice. So Mrs. Mays dismissed the case, so when she dismissed, and there goes your counter.
Right.
So you would have to refile.
Duly noted, Your Honor.
Okay, all right. So, sir, you can go ahead and finish. We were gathering up your numbers. I had about 20 phone calls, 15 texts.
I have correct numbers now. I have 53 text messages.
Complaint and the voluntary dismissal.
I have 53 text messages. I have for me only, 7 emails, and those are just the emails of her sending me notices about decriminal or like criminalized involvement or whatnot. And then I have 12 of her taking over, us going back and forth with me trying to take over my email back from her to as well. And then whenever I can get a chance, I would like to pull up my witness, Your Honor.
You would like to do what?
Pull up my witness when
Okay.
involved, because this is also a part of what she comes in into as well.
So outside of the emails, and that seems like there was a legitimate purpose for those, because you're going back and forth saying, you hacked my email, give me back my email.
Not even that, just me trying to regain my email back, so I would go in and do the recovery process for trying to regain back my email, putting in a new password with a new recovery email, and then coming back to where she knows the passkey code and taking that passkey code over with regaining granting her back into my email again, back and forth.
So on the text messages, what is she saying?
Basically alluding that, give me 1 second, I can read them out to you.
No, if you can just give me a general idea, like,
Well-
are they threats or,
Well, from the beginning, one part says I'm up and I'm drunk at my door. This is the 15th, where she's
I'm
bigger-
up and I'm drunk and I'm what?
and she's at my door, beating at my door, knocking very hard at 5:30 in the morning, saying she's at my door. She thought it would be cute that she arrived at my door the day after we broke up. And then from that point on, stating that she's stuck there because she doesn't have the funds to relieve herself of my residency. But this is very much of about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. I get told, because I'm asleep, that someone's at my door, and then they go to the door and literally cracks the door, and then Ms. Tigress proceeds to barge her way into with, well, I would say assaulting the person because she wasn't invited into my home, where she pushed the door into the person, intruding into my home where she wasn't invited, nor did I even give her an invitation for the first time where she was at my house on the 14th. I haven't even said anything about that, where I was oddly surprised to turn the corner of my apartment and seeing her there because I didn't have communication with her to say, come to my home. So after us breaking up on the 14th, 15th is the 5:30 in the morning, I'm getting text messages saying I'm at your door, I'm drunk, this, that, and the third. She doesn't have $16 to get to her residence because she took a lift to my home. And then it proceeded with more continuous knocks up until Miss Deja Hill Mays decided to go to the door because it was so involuntary the way she was saying my name out loud in the hallway, very loudly, beating on my door. I would say at a point to where my neighbors from the day after let me know that they were in shock that I had such activities
Your Honor,
going on.
I'm gonna have to object to all the hearsay as it relates to the neighbors. There's no police report. None of this is credible.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so what else, what other contact?
Other contacts was communication after I decided to walk Ms. Daniels out of the apartment. She didn't have a car, so I then showed her that she could sit in the welcoming center until her lift came. I actually gave her funds for her to be able to go. I don't know why she stayed there for as long as she did, but from my understanding, she stayed there all day. That's when the wellness checks started coming in as far as police officers arriving at my house the next day, where I believe it was like 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning. We have a police officer saying that he's at my front door, wanting to make sure that I'm fine. Comes to a afternoon where I'm out hanging with my kids, and I get a phone call again stating that there's another police officer outside with Ms. McDaniels. I decide to answer the phone as Mrs. McDaniels is calling me several times after she has text messaged me asking me, am I okay? And I keep telling her I'm fine. I don't know why you're calling me saying anything about anything. I then speak to the police officer. The police officer says, hey, Mr. Mays, is everything fine? I said, yes, I don't know why you're there in the first place. Is everything okay with you? How do you feel? I said, I'm having a great day. How about you? And then he proceeded to let Ms. McDaniel know that she needs to go ahead and go about her business as she decides to say that she has recording of whatever interaction. And the police officer then trying to explain to Ms. McDaniels that I've already expressed to them that I'm fine. Then in another visit for wellness or whatever she wants to call it was again at 10:30, 10-ish p.m.
The same
Again,
day?
Same day. And then the next morning, a sheriff came to my home. So, in that frame, that's when the emails started changing and things started, because I do want to say that we were starting a business. She did gift me a business for my birthday with a dozen Brad Streets.
I object, Your Honor, again. False
All right.
information, but I'll.
I actually have the email with my father's last name, and then what I have in my phone where her name is now on it, where it says male. I'm pretty sure she's not a male. And then it has her name over it with her name and her birthday and things of that nature, where it was mine, where it had my name.
What are you talking about?
My email, where we started a business, I started a business where I was gifted by Miss McDaniel. It's called the Davis Association. I have my face on this website that she did for me,
So is this what she,
gifted me for my birthday.
no, is this what she,
One of the emails?
yeah.
Yes, that was one of the emails she took over.
And so she's not affiliated with the business at all?
No.
She's not vice president?
No.
Nothing? She
This
I
is
has-
a
object,
gift
Your
to me.
Honor.
So
Yes.
if you're challenging the veracity of what he's saying, then it's not a proper basis for an objection.
Right.
You can, when it's your turn, you
Yes.
can tell me and address it at that time.
Yes,
So
Your Honor.
she's not affiliated with the business in any way?
The only affiliation is her actually doing it for me as a gift, and she set it up for me as a gift, so that I could have something of my own, that I could say that I have a business under.
All right, anything else?
Outside of her showing up, and as far as like me putting in a protection order, things of this nature, I've actually reached out to several police officers to do their duty, which is they're telling me because I left the premises and I didn't specify needing protection that day, that I still haven't even gotten those reports from these police officers where it has been several days. Not to say or allude that Ms. McDaniel has power over structure of how the law is ran, but I
object,
have
Your
not
Honor.
had,
All right.
I
What
have
else?
not received such reports as fast as they should be. As I went down to the magistrate and they said because it wasn't violently, but as I read, it is emotional damage because she's actually been to my job.
What did she do at your job?
I didn't
You
hear
mean just showing up at your job?
So because I wasn't in communication with her, she decided to come to my job, then come to my home. This is on the 14th.
So she went to your place of employment?
Yes, which could be, and I work for a private water company where you're supposed to have access and you're not supposed to have any activities such as, even my wife, who's been my wife for 19 years, is not allowed on the premises as well.
Any other unwanted contacts?
Other contacts, as far as online, I can say the harassment is online where I've seen her put my name, my daughter's name, and also my wife's name in story on IG, where she's making reference to whatever it is that we have going on or whatever the communication is between what me and her have going on with involving my 12-year-old daughter.
So she's posting communications between you two online?
Yes.
What else?
She also said she wasn't going anywhere from when she barged in. She told me, because she's a lawyer, she told me that her barging into my apartment isn't the law, that she's not breaking the law. She can kind of conveyed a lot of things to me about law, what she's able to do, how she fights and goes towards things as far as her aggression and
Were you
law.
guys living together at the time?
No, I have never lived with Miss McDaniel, but I have been over to her house. I've spent the night over there. She's never spent the night at my apartment ever.
All right, anything else? Has she been back to your job or home since you filed this complaint?
No, I believe after being served, she decided to get the understanding of how far I was to go, to say, please just let's sever ties between each other because you've already done enough.
All right, so, Ms. McDaniels, I'll let you respond to him when you testify. I'm not going to let you guys cross-examine each other, but I'll let you cross his witness. Are you calling a witness?
I am, ma'am.
Who are you calling?
I called Deja Hill Mays to the stand.
Do I need to do anything?
I'm sorry?
Do I need to do anything?
You were sworn in already, right?
Okay.
All right, yep, have a seat. That chair doesn't move.
I
but
see
you
that.
can-
I see that. I tried to pull it out.
You can adjust your microphone though.
Okay.
If you needed to be closer, just yank it. All right, go ahead. Can you say your name for the record?
My name is, Deja Hill Mays.
All right, sir. The witness is with you. You can't have a conversation with her. You can only address her in the form of a question.
Okay. How are you today?
Doing well.
Great. Can you explain our interaction?
You are my husband.
For how long?
Well, we were married in 2009, but we've been together since 2005.
And can you explain your interaction with Miss McDaniel?
I only know her through you. The first time I've ever heard her voice was when she took the phone from you to get on the phone with me. And she went off and upset. And I was trying to explain to her that you're my husband, and she told me I was lying and that I would not, be able to win against her in a fight. That was the first interaction, and the only other interaction that I've had with her was on the 15th at 5-something in the morning when we were asleep in your bed at the apartment, and there was a knock at the door. I heard it first. I kept hearing it, which is why I woke up. I tapped you, let you know that there was somebody at the door. We were asking if it was somebody else. You said, one of your friends or cousins or something. And then you checked your phone, and that's when you saw that Miss McDaniel had texted you repeatedly. I'm not sure how many times, but I know you said, she was texting you and that you think that that could be her. You gave me permission to open up the door because you didn't want to talk to her. You said that you already explained that to her when y'all broke up. So I slightly opened up the door, and that's when I saw her through the crack. And that's when she proceeded to ask if you were there. I said you were there because we were asleep. She asked for me to wake you up. I told her that I wasn't going to wake you up because I know that you said that you didn't want to talk to her, and we were asleep. And then once I went to go push the door back up and, from the slight open, that's when she pushed her body against the door, pushed me back in an attempt to, I guess, flex her power. And that's when there's the wall behind the door with your broom and your mop, your Swiffer. I was pushed into that as she barged in, and that was the second interaction that we had. You started talking to her, and y'all were going back and forth, and she kept telling you or asking you why I was there and that I shouldn't be there. She kept saying that I need to be in jail because I wasn't supposed to be there when you're my husband. I was invited, she wasn't. So,
Did you know you were being recorded at any point in time?
well, no, she never told me that she was recording me. Our conversation was mostly screaming matches. I know that there was some kind of conversation between you and her. And this was in the privacy of your own home, too. So this is not in a public place. This is a private place that she barged into and then you found out that she recorded at some point, and you had mentioned to her that you didn't give her permission to record. And that's when she said that she was a lawyer and that she can do that because it's something that she could do or something like that. But in terms of the recording, I had heard you say that you didn't give her permission to record, and I heard her reply back to you saying that she could do that even though we were inside of your apartment in a space that we expected to be private because we were almost naked.
Was Miss Tigress McDaniel invited over that day?
No, not at all. We were together the whole day.
Why did you proceed with the protection order against her?
Because she assaulted me. She knew exactly who I was. She was upset that y'all broke up and that you were proceeding on with your marriage with me. And she was upset that I was at your apartment, thinking that I had no permission to be there, or I could not be there lawfully, which I could. And that just that behavior right there alone, set aside from the fact that she felt like she did nothing wrong, that she was acting ethical and lawful in her behavior.
When she barged in the door and she got into the apartment, did she say that that was against the law?
No, she said it was lawful. She said she has done nothing wrong and that it would not hold up in court, that she could do that. And she says that she's a lawyer, I don't know how many times. I got tired of hearing that. Sorry.
Outside of that, I'll let you speak to Ms. McDaniel. I rest my case.
You can ask her questions. If you have any more questions, you can ask them, but yeah,
I have
that's
no more
not
questions.
happening.
I have no more questions.
All right, ma'am, at this time, you can cross-examine the witness. You can't argue with her, you can't have a conversation with her, you can only address her in the form of a question.
No, Your Honor. I have experience in this regard. You were separated from Jahmil Mays on December 26, 2022, correct?
Correct.
And you filed for absolute divorce on April 20th, 2024, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you were not together since December 26, 2022, correct?
Incorrect.
When was the last time that you claimed that you were with Jahmil Mays in a romantic relationship?
Me and my husband have been in a romantic relationship since we began in 2005. The longest period of time that we've gone without intercourse, if that's what you're asking, is probably about 4 months, but we've continued to date. We go out weekly. While he was separated from me in the apartment, we would see each other weekly, talk to each other all the time, and we continued to date as we worked on our marriage.
Duly noted. I'm glad that you said that, and we want to make sure that is kept on record, Your Honor, as it relates to what she just said. So you continue to date weekly, right? During the time that he was in a relationship with me, based on what you're saying, that would be the case, that there would be no separation at all. And you were romantically involved with him since September 7th, 2024 until today. Is that correct?
No, that's what you're saying.
Then clarify for the court, because you just said that you have weekly dates with him and that you have had no more than 4 months separation. And that would not add up because Jahmil and I have been together since September 7th, 2024. So clarify again.
Yes, my clarity is what I already said. I said we haven't been together in intercourse for 4 months. But he and I dated because we can date. We were separated. He had his thing on the side, which is more than one, and I also had something. But we were working on our marriage.
That's very interesting. You did file a domestic violence case against him, purporting that he used a gun, brandished the gun, and put it against your leg, correct? And this is just last year?
He did do that.
July 20th, 2024.
Correct, you're right about something, yes.
And you testified in a court of law on October 28th, 2024, that he did do these things, correct?
I did never testify against him.
Your Honor, I've entered the records in, the records are in the file. She and the 12-year-old daughter testified during that hearing.
We gave a statement. We did not testify. We never went in front of the judge to say anything verbally. We written it down, and that was prior to that date. What I did have is conversations with my lawyer. Your
Honor, if you would direct the witness to please just answer the questions and nothing else. Thank you.
All right, the court's going to sustain the objection. The witness is non-responsive. Ask a question.
So you all were in such a loving relationship during this time frame that you filed domestic violence charges against him in 2024, and then had your daughter also testify, albeit if you're claiming now, even though that's not truthful from the record in the court, that your daughter only wrote a statement. Is that correct?
No, my daughter didn't write anything.
Okay.
My daughter
Only you
spoke-
did? Only you wrote a statement?
Yes.
Okay. And that is witness testimony. During this time, from September 7th, 2024, until February 14th, 2025, how often were you with Jahmil Mays romantically?
What does this have to do with the
Thank you.
DVPO?
Thank you.
It's for the credibility of the witness, Your Honor, with regards to the motivation for the falsified TRO and the falsified domestic violence complaint. As I've already mentioned, they are co-conspirators in this
All
regard.
right, so I'll let you go a
Rephrase it.
little distance with impeaching the witness for bias, but I'm not going down a whole litany of who was dating who, when, where.
Correct. Okay, answer the question.
You have to repeat. It was coming back and forth. What was the question?
How often were you romantically with Jahmil Mays from September 7th, 2024 until February 14th, 2025?
I cannot remember. I don't count how many times and what month and.
Earlier
what
you
we're
said
doing.
weekly, is that
No,
correct?
that was for dates. I hope that you can hear me. I said we went out, dates.
Okay, and that's romantic because a date is by
I
colloquialism is
specified
romantic.
intercourse. I specifically said if you're talking about intercourse.
Okay, so you went on weekly dates with Jahmil from September 7th, 2024 until February 14th, 2025.
And so just to clarify
Your
that
Honor,
as
please
well.
ask her to answer the question, yes or no?
Just to clarify that as well, because in the event
Your
that I
Honor,
am
please ask her
busy.
to answer
All
the
right,
question.
stop. All right, so you can answer the question, yes or no, and then you can explain your answer.
Okay, yes.
Okay,
And my
thank you.
explanation is that in the event, because I'm a mother to 3 children, things don't always work out the way that we'd like them to. But in terms of a month time, yeah, we'll go out 3 and 4 times a month, which averages once a week.
Okay, and you knew that he was in a relationship, romantic relationship with me, correct?
Absolutely, he was
Duly noted, Your Honor,
separated.
that, again, for impeachability purposes here, we have character evidence of untruthfulness, we have character
Okay, so
evidence of
you
a
can
falsified.
say that's an argument and that's appropriate for your closing.
Duly noted.
Do you have a question?
I
for the
do
witness?
have continued questions, Your Honor. On February 4th, when Jahmil had spoken with his daughter initially, and then ended the phone call with his daughter, and then you called him afterwards, correct?
Probably.
Yes.
It's not
And
uncommon for us
you-
to speak.
And you stated that I took the phone from him. Were you physically in our presence?
No,
No. Okay. So you cannot testify in that regard.
I can testify what you told me.
All
Ask me
right,
that.
we'll ask your next question.
Thank you. And again, this lays towards untruthfulness, which is going to be
All right, so
consistent, Your Honor.
I don't need
Duly noted.
commentary from
Mhm.
you. You ask the question, she
Yep.
answers, and you argue in closing.
Yes. The domestic violence complaint against your husband, it includes a no contact order between you and him, correct?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And yet, well, Your Honor, for the sake of redundancy, I know that you are very wise. You've already heard this again with the untruthfulness and the pattern of behavior, okay? Why did you voluntarily dismiss your temporary restraining order complaint if it were valid?
Is that against you or him? Can you specify?
The one that would be material for this case would be the one that you filed against me. Why did you voluntarily dismiss your temporary restraining order against me if it were valid?
I spoke with one of my lawyers, and they told me that it's best for me to go under my husband and have him add me as a protected party because I was assaulted by you at his apartment.
Okay, and how do you claim that I assaulted you?
So when I was
Okay,
at the...
so what does this have to do with why we're here?
Because she's saying that she wants a protective order through him. quote
Well,
unquote.
she's not
course,
on, she's
right.
not a party to the order. Ask your next question.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you, Your Honor. And thank you, Your Honor. So I don't have to address certain things. That concludes my questions.
Anything else?
So, as far as the no contact, I have from the DA's office, Ms. Brittany N. Wilson,
You're supposed to ask me.
wanted to address, can I address the witness about the form that was given to the DA?
I'm sorry?
It's a form of me being able to contact and communicate with her and my daughter. Am I able to ask about that?
Briefly.
Okay.
Your Honor, I object to that because, of course,
Did you not ask her about that?
Right, and so then that would have been after, well, I'll let, duly noted.
Right.
Yeah, the
I'll make
documentation
sure
will
I
show.
understand. It sounded like from your questioning that you were impeaching her.
Yep,
Because there's a DVPO in place and he violated the order by having contact with her.
yes, on the date of February 14th, there was no affidavit for them to have contact with one another.
Okay, so yes, you can, yes,
That's why I wanted to make sure.
yes,
Thank Your
you
Honor.
can.
So, with this paperwork that I have here, when did you speak to the DA about this?
I've spoke to the DA about this at least 3 different times. The first time was at your court hearing on October 28th, when I expressed to them that I wanted to have communication with my husband, but I wanted to do it on my terms and when I was ready, when I worked with my children, because it was a very extraneous situation that we were going through. And so I recently went to the DA to get it in writing to show that, yes, we can communicate. It was all based on my preference, which I've already been giving you that. So everything that you were told or what was tried to make seem as me not being your wife and not being able to communicate with you, you were coerced. And it's
Now,
unfortunate.
legally, I had a relationship with Ms. Tigress McDaniel.
Mm-hmm.
She basically specified to me that I wouldn't be able to speak with you. Was it told to you that I couldn't communicate with you because of the communication or the advice that I got from my legal advisor from the ethical gatekeeper?
Yeah, when we would speak, when we would go out, you used to tell me quite often that she told you that you cannot speak with me, that we are not married, that I filed an absolute divorce, and I would say to you, well, how is it that she can tell you that and being a lawyer as well, when all she needs to do is research and pull up necessary documents to show and prove we are still legally married, and that per your court order, it shows that you would need written permission, which I've given you and the DA actually written out in that form that you have, confirming that what I knew, what you knew, but she felt, Ms. Daniels failed to know.
In those visits, you would specify those same actions in which you're saying to me, that space specifying that the DA has granted you the able ability for me, and my answer to you would be what, coming from Ms. McDaniels and her court?
You used to tell me all the time that she, Ms. McDaniel, told you that you're not married, that you can't have
Your
communication
Honor, I
with me.
object to hearsay.
And it's not hearsay
Hold on.
if he and I are talking. So this is what you told me. You
Your
told me
Honor,
that she said that.
She's in court, so it's not hearsay. You have an opportunity to confront the witness on her statement. Go ahead.
Continue, ma'am.
So you would tell me that, and I would tell you, hey, you know what it is, and you say, I know, but because you were so afraid of what her power and position was, the fact that she would bring up these documents that are not valid. Actually, I believe that she showed you a copy of the absolute divorce that I filed, and she also sent it over to you, which you showed me, that was not signed by a judge, that was not stamped off on, which we were legally married. I don't know why every time you would tell me this and I would tell you, hey, no, this is what it is. I don't know why you continue to try to believe Ms. McDaniel, maybe because you were afraid of her and her power.
Ask the next question.
All right. With that being said, ma'am, did I produce paperwork showing you that I was divorced from you?
You didn't.
Who showed you Who showed you that paperwork that I was
So
divorced?
how is that relevant?
Well, she's stating that I basically broke my probationary rule, where I'm not supposed to communicate with her or my daughter.
Okay, so we can move on from
Okay.
that.
Not a problem. Other than that, I have nothing else left for the question of the witness.
Your Honor, I do have another question as it relates to based on what he brought up and based on what the witness stated. On February 15th, you stated that you were not aware that you were being recorded, and you also stated that that Jahmil stated that he was not being recorded. Is that correct?
That's not what I said.
Then what did you say?
What I said is that I heard you say, I heard him say, why are you recording? Making referencing to you recording, and you said that you can do that. And my comment, well, my sidebar is, how can you do that? How can you feel like you do that? And it's a private space, a space that you weren't invited into, that you barged into. You assaulted his wife too.
Your Honor, I'm not even going to object to any of that as it relates to the lack of credibility as it relates. But, Your Honor, I would like to proffer evidence. I can do that during my arguments.
Are you done with her?
I'm not.
Ask your next
Would you
question.
like for me to do it during?
I want you to finish your question.
Duly
with this
noted.
witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. And so then, as it relates to, it was one other question, as it relates to your statements that that Jahmil was afraid of me. Can you elaborate? What
Yes.
exactly was he afraid that I would do between, and you mentioned that it was over the course of our relationship.
She can't
And-
testify as to what his state of mind is.
Duly noted, duly noted. That goes to hearsay, but Your Honor, and for excited utterance, it is relevant under Rule 8.
And excited utterance is a statement that's made when the victim is startled or the testifying person is startled.
Duly noted, and I'm suggesting that I'm asserting that that's exactly what she's presenting to the court, that she was startled, that they were both startled from September 7th, 2024 to February 14th, that they were startled many times as it relates to my romantic relationship with Jahmil, and I ask that you allow my question.
All right, your request is denied. Ask your next question.
That was the final question that I had, Your Honor.
All right, step down, ma'am.
Thank you.
Sir, do you have any more evidence for the court to consider?
Just a letter that shows my being able to be involved with my family from the DA.
Oh, I don't need to see that.
Other than that, I have only text messages and, of course, notations of reports that haven't went through just yet. But no, I don't. I do not. Other than that.
All right, ma'am, so at this time, you can tell the court what it is you want me to know. You can testify, and then if you want to call any witnesses, you can do that as well.
Yes, Your Honor. On about September 7th, 2024, I met Jahmil Mays. at a party, a birthday party at the rooftop at my apartment building. I own the Ethical Gatekeeper, which is a legal education advocacy program that focuses on building positive relationships through legal education so that the general public has better relationships with one another. I am not yet licensed, as I've already stated up before this court. I did not offer Jahmil Mays any legal representation. He was fully aware of that. In fact, he assisted with my members to help pay for my bar exam, which I took on October 22nd, 2024. So I have not presented to him nor held out that I was his legal advisor. I want to make sure that's on record, Your Honor. So his statements in that regard are not only frivolous, but they are part of the malicious prosecution that I have counterclaimed for. On September 9th, after he joined the Ethical Gatekeeper, he was very, very communicative as it relates to Deja's domestic violence complaint and the toxicity of their marriage, entailing infidelity, emotional and sexual abuse first committed by Deja, even to the extent of Jahmil learning in a traumatic way that the eldest child of their three children was not his own biological child. And for these reasons, Jahmil left the residence that they shared on December 26, 2022, with the intent for that separation to be permanent. He moved out of the house and he moved into his current apartment where he has resided since that time. And Deja Hill Mays is not on that lease, has not ever been on that lease. On September 15th, Jahmil asked defendant if he could romantically court her. And I'm not just paraphrasing, it was very specific. To which I suggested that they establish a friendship first with the intention to engage romantically and not yet sexually until both were emotionally ready. You'll recall from the Deja Hill Mays testimony that they remained romantically involved on a weekly basis during this entire time. And that goes directly towards the truthfulness of her supposed testimony, which is consistent with her lies as it relates to her physical presence in the domestic violence case, where she testified in person, and she also coerced her daughter to testify in person against her husband, that they're supposed to be happily married. And that goes to the co-conspirator nature that I have asserted in my counterclaims, my answers, and my affirmative defenses as it relates to Jahmil Mays and his frivolous and psychologically delusional domestic violence complaint against me. We're going to go, he severally, and again, since I am physically here, and of course I can testify and I am available for examination, he stated to me severally over the course of our relationship that she wanted him to remarry her and that she would proceed with falsely testifying against him, because if you recall, the hearing, the trial hearing on the domestic violence case between them was on October 28th. So that was after I met him and after Jahmil Mays began courting me romantically. And again, this goes to the truthfulness or the lack thereof, the absence, the complete polar opposite absence thereof as it relates to Jahmil Mays and Deja Hill Mays' testimony. He would often also allow me to listen in on phone calls because he was trying to figure out the best way to defend himself in that particular case. And I would often tell him, you needed to tell your public defender the truth of what's going on, because it sounds like you could possibly have a self-defense case. During these phone calls, it was evident. She would severally make comments that if you don't remarry me, then I'm going to proceed with these falsified domestic violence charges, which she did. And I again reminded him and cautioned him of accepting his quote-unquote fate in that particular case, because that would stick with him for life. It's relevant again here for the truthfulness and the impeachability of both of Jahmil Mays and Deja Hill Mays' testimony. On October 27th, Jahmil Mays called me, and he said that he was suicidal. This is not a quote, this is not a colloquialism, this is not a summation, this is a direct quote, that he was suicidal and feared what would occur in the hearing on October 28th. At which time I consoled him, and I told him that he needed to seek therapy and that he needed to inform the public defender and his public defender of what was going on, because again, I could not represent him, and he needed to stand up for himself and stand up for his rights.
Are you referring to the wellness checks?
No, so the wellness check, and that gives you understanding when we get to that point of the legitimacy of my one and singular phone call that I made as to his wellness, and I have documentary evidence and video and audio as it relates to that as well. On October 28th, he informed me that he accepted a plea bargain, and I was absolutely shocked. And he explained that his sentence, and actually showed me his sentence, was supervised probation for 18 months, a 26-week domestic violence class, and no contact with the purported victims, Deja and their 12-year-old daughter. This sentencing order was not only available to Deja directly in the courtroom, because again, she did appear in person to testify against Jahmil Mays, but it was also served upon her in that case by the Sheriff's Department. On or about September 9th, I'm sorry, I believe we'll move forward from that. Well, I've already alluded to, excuse me, Your Honor. Basically, during this time frame, and you'll see it in the evidence that I've proffered before the court, which is attached to my pleading, you'll see text messages that were provided to me from Deja Hill Mays, to Jahmil Mays, and they were threatening to trespass against his chattels, to damage his vehicle, to subject him to emotional abuse.
What does this have to do with his allegations are against you?
You got it, Your Honor. It's again for the impeachability of both of their testimonies in this case.
Right. So I understand that, but
okay.
Your case seems to just center on impeaching the witness, when the issue is, did you contact him after he asked you not to? No,
Your Honor, and we'll get to that as well, because we're going to get to the elements of the actual crimes. None of the elements for any of the crimes have been met. And in the interest of time, Your Honor, I'll go ahead and proffer, well, no, it's necessary to continue on. On or about October 20th, plaintiff had lost his brother to suicide. This is also relevant as to Jahmil May's mental state. And again, that was prior to his hearing on October 28th with the domestic violence charge that Deja Hill Mays filed. And also prior to October 27, 2024, when he met with me and told me that he was suicidal. Okay? We'll move forward. We go to December 9th.
When did he tell you he was suicidal?
On October 27, 2024. And again, we'll get to it. There was another time that he told me that he was suicidal. That was right before, and I have the recording as well. And he did know he was being recorded, and he said it, and he agreed to the recording. And you'll understand why this is relevant for February 18th, Your Honor. On December 9th, we had discussed moving forward with our relationship and making it official romantically, with the caveat that he would seek therapy and that he would proceed with taking valid action and stand up for himself as it relates to Deja Hill Mays. On February 1st.
All right, hold on, ma'am. What's your objection, sir?
None of what she's saying is true, even down to the point of my.
Your Honor, it's not an accurate objection.
Even to where my brother committing suicide.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
And Your Honor, at this juncture, it appears that I was thrown into a web of lies. So I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure what is actually truthful, and that goes directly towards the impeachability of both of them. But I am testifying truthfully as to what was stated to me. And so I do believe that they, as I mentioned in my counterclaims, that their intent was to defraud me. And in fact, during the phone call on February 4th, which we'll get to in just one second, Deja Hill Mays made the comment that, and this is the phone call that she admits to having had, where I supposedly took control of the phone call, which is not what occurred. I was allowed to listen in on the phone call, and Jahmil, because he visited my home after telling me that he was on the phone with his daughter, and he visited unannounced, but it was welcomed, and he told me that he was on the phone with his daughter, put it on speakerphone, which again, as I already stated, had become customary for him to do. And I listened in on the phone call, and I even helped him with asking questions, because the biggest concern is that he was being denied access to his children by Deja Hill Mays. And he was wanting to figure out how he could prove that his daughter was not in fear of him.
So what does this have to do with domestic violence against him?
Again, it has to do with the impeachability and lack of truthfulness as it relates to this particular domestic violence case. And
that you were in a relationship with him and you had a good relationship?
No, Your Honor. I believe that you may be missing the point here. As it relates to what was stated about the nature of our relationship and the nature of the concern from a legitimate purpose as to his safety and his freedom. He would often speak about how he would have to communicate with Deja so as not to put him in fear of his freedom as it relates to the probation, the supervised probation that he was on. Okay. All right, so we'll move forward. On February 1st, and again, this also goes toward my counterclaims and my affirmative defenses, Your Honor.
So you do realize that we're not hearing your counterclaims and affirmative defenses today? You're going to have to do those in separate filings.
I thought you meant for Deja Hill May's case.
No, you didn't file them in her case. You filed them in his case.
Yes. No, I filed it in both. Yes.
In any event, they cannot be heard with this DVPO. You're going to have to file them in civil court.
Okay, well, that's what I had stated earlier, but I thought, based on what you all had stated, that that you wanted me to proceed with the counterclaims in this particular action. Nonetheless, my answer is...
When did we ever say that? That was never told to you. what we said to you was the action by her was voluntarily dismissed. Your claims are related to her are gone. Any claims that you filed regarding him are separate civil actions that do not relate other than impeachment and that type of evidence. And you were told that you have to file them in another courtroom, is what you were told.
You mentioned it for the other case, Your Honor. I don't wish to argue with the court. You didn't make you said that you were going to figure out whether or not the counterclaims could be heard, and you more
Go ahead
specifically
and finish
stated.
with the evidence that you have
Mhm.
with him, because we have
Yes.
other matters remaining.
Yes, Your Honor, okay. Then on February 1st, Jahmil posted a photo of me and him together on social media, professing his love for me. On February 2nd, he informed me that his daughter wanted him to remove the post, but then when I made further inquiry, he revealed that Deja wanted him to remove the post, which he stated to me caused him emotional distress. On February 4th, again, when visiting my home, he allowed me to listen in on the phone call with his daughter, for which it was obvious that Deja was controlling and feeding her daughter's statements to Jahmil. After that phone call ended, as again Deja inadvertently admits, she called, and for over an hour and a half, she rambled on as it relates to the same threats as before, that she would falsely prosecute him or orchestrate a situation that would violate his probation if he did not remarry her and take her back. She did not know that I was on the phone initially, and then I asked Ja if I could try to rationalize with her, explaining to her that even if I were not his girlfriend, that you have to understand that this behavior would not be appropriate and that he should have access to his children. Moving forward, on February 14th, and so there were no issues between myself and Jahmil that I was aware of. And again, Your Honor, I am testifying to the truthfulness of what I experienced. I don't know the extent of the lies that have been told to me. On February 14th, having discussed different plans for Valentine's Day earlier that week, he and I spoke by phone at approximately 7:40 a.m. So I want to also use this information as it relates to his statement that I came to his home at 5:30. It was very customary during our romantic relationship to visit each other's homes, to speak to one another at all hours. He's come to my home at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's come to my home at 2 o'clock in the morning. He's come at all hours, so there was nothing strange in that regard. So with regards to the legitimacy of purpose, there is no issue there. But at 7:40...
Except he asked you to have no contact with
No, that's not accurate, Your Honor. I'm going to get to that part. Yeah, that's not accurate. We both know the statement, it's a Latin term. Things look true until the reverse is proven. So I'm not gonna say it in Latin, but it is what it is. So the information that you have is all lies, Your Honor. So at 7:40, before plaintiff's work shift to finalize plans, at which time Jahmil oddly told me to expect money by way of Cash App and a text around lunchtime. At 8:18 a.m., I received a text from him breaking up with me. So severally, and I am going to call Jahmil to the stand when it is time, severally Jahmil has said on record that we broke up. That is not accurate. He sent me a text message on February 14th at 8:18, breaking up with me, claiming that he was not ready for a relationship, and then sent me $300 by Cash App. And that record is in the file. Concern, again, for plaintiff's mental health because of the things that we have discussed, and having most recently on February 4th and days after that, having spoken to him each day and him telling me that she was repeatedly calling. Even at one point we were on the phone and he had called her because she had evidently misled him about his business that they had together, and she demanded that he relinquish the rights to the business if he was not going to be in a relationship with her. And this was on or about February 7th, and he evidently did a conference call and accidentally still had her on the phone call while he was fussing at her and hung up. And I asked, what in the world is going on? And he said, I just addressed her and it's done. So there was a lot of mental anguish during this time frame and over the entire course of my relationship with him, or whatever he intended, the fakeness of it all. So on that day, I then brought him a single rose and sunflowers wrapped in purple cellophane. And I texted him back saying...
After he broke up with you?
Yes, yep, I sure did. Yeah, because in that text message he says, and if you'll read the text message, Your Honor, and not presume not make conclusory judgment as to the text message, he stated in that text message his decision might destroy what they had. So there was no intention for it to be a final interaction, except that he was going through what he was going through.
You identified it as a breakup text, so I don't think there's any ambiguity there. You said he sent you a text breaking up with you.
Your Honor, again, his decision might destroy what they had would hold up in a court of law as ambiguity. So that statement, and Your Honor, I believe that you are maybe concluding that I visited with a single rose and sunflowers to regain a relationship, and that's not accurate. So
I'm just questioning why somebody would buy somebody a rose after they sent you a breakup text.
Yep, and sunflowers wrapped in purple cellophane to represent suicide awareness. Okay, and I visited the home, and he was elated when he saw me, and he confided in me, and I have the recording as well. He confided in me that I didn't want to break up with you. A few days ago, when leaving your home, I noticed that Deja's car was parked in front of your apartment building. Then she called him, erratically rambling about my qualities and stating that she understood why he wanted to be with me. She gave me an ultimatum. Again, this is Jahmil telling me this. She gave me an ultimatum that if I didn't get rid of you, she would get rid of you and your son. So with your and your son's safety on the line, and already my freedom is on the line, referring to his probation, I had to break up with you. But we will figure this out. I just need you to be understanding and patient. I explained to him that I do believe that we still need to just be friends, and that he needed to go to the public defender and tell them what was going on, and that I would then file a police report to make sure that me and my son were safe. So and forgive me, Your Honor, because of course there is no attack upon this court, but again, not all things are what they appear to be. So I didn't just go over there. I wasn't some lovesick child. I'm 48. I'm emotionally intelligent. My background includes criminal psychology. I have my Juris Doctorate. I'm a former federal ranger. I did not have any intentions to continue in a romantic relationship one-sidedly. The notion is ridiculous. Then plaintiff then disappeared to his bedroom and returned with an additional $100 in cash, which he gave to me, expressing that it was his way of apologizing for ruining my Valentine's Day. Then initiated several kisses with me, and then I left.
While his wife was standing?
No, his wife was not there. That's why I believe you're getting this mixed up. She was not there on February 14th during the day when I visited with flowers.
The morning.
Right.
So
you got it.
at 5:30 in the morning when you were there?
No, Your Honor. No.
You came back at 10?
After we spoke, you got it. We had spoke. So 8 o'clock, so 7 o'clock in the morning is when we were finalizing our Valentine's Day plans. 8 o'clock in the morning is when he then sent me a text message breaking up with me and sent me $300 by Cash App. Then around 10:30, 11 o'clock is when I visited his home with solidarity flowers. Okay, so we're up to speed. And then he disappeared again into his room, returned with $100 in cash, which he gave to me, and expressing it as an apology for ruining my Valentine's Day. The text messages verify the same thing. He knew, I said, well, my friend had brought me because I do have a vehicle, but my suspension is out on my Rover. And he's fully aware of that because during the course of our relationship or whatever, he severally helped with my vehicle. And so he knew, and I explained to him that Sarah had dropped me off. Or not dropped me off. Sarah was out in the car with my son and her son because we had planned on taking them out, which Jahmil knew about when we had talked earlier in the day because we had contemplated going skating, but it was a concern with regards to the teenagers and the skating event. Nonetheless, moving forward, Sarah then texted to make sure that everything was okay, and I called her in the presence of Jahmil, and he said to her, I apologize for everything that's going on. Everything's just crazy right now, but I'm not that type of person. Basically, simping, if you will, towards Sarah to communicate that he didn't mean me any harm with what he did and had a legitimate purpose for breaking up with me, and it was not the intention. And those text messages show that he knew that we had gone to the movies. I told him I'm going to use the money to go to the movies, take the boys, treat everybody, and make it a good day. And he was very communicative in that regard, saying, throughout the day, I'm glad y'all are having a good time. I'm glad I could fix things, all those things. Plaintiff remained very communicative all throughout Valentine's Day up until about 9:30. And amongst their communication on Valentine's Day, most notably showing proof that Jahmil did not intend to remain broken up with me. And I had texted, do you want me to stage a mutual breakup to make her think we are no longer together and just friends because she's following and trolling me on my socials, which we had discussed a lot between February 4th when he posted my picture online and February 13th, to which he responded, sure, laughing emoji. And that also is in the attachments that I have in the file. On the next day at approximately 6:30, defendant visited his home, and I had texted him because we had already texted later on the day before, and I had already alluded to the fact that I was going to check on him to make sure he was okay. So there was a legitimate purpose. I did not just arrive completely unannounced. And even still, this was at this juncture, according to Jahmil Mays, he still wanted a romantic relationship with me and had only broken up with me because he feared what Deja would do. At this time, I'm going to proffer the evidence and then continue on with regards to the statement that he feared for his life and what Deja would do to me and my son.
What I'm asking you is, if I just told you I'm being recorded, what the fuck are you doing? And why is she recording? What I'm asking you is, why are you talking?
Who is that?
I'm getting to the point.
What's the purpose of the recording?
The recording is him telling, if Your Honor, he's telling that he fears his wife. Yes. He is telling that he fears his life. Yes.
You can't play anything without asking her permission. If she doesn't tell you to go ahead and do it, then you can do it. But if she doesn't give you permission to do it, you just can't arbitrarily just do it.
I know that when I said proffered and she didn't say anything.
But she didn't give you permission.
Duly noted. Yeah, duly noted. Your Honor, when I said proffered the evidence, I understood that you had not refused the evidence, and of course the evidence can't be refused because it is documented.
Can absolutely be refused.
But not lawfully.
Lawfully, your evidence can be refused if it's not relevant or you have not laid a proper foundation for the introduction of the evidence. You need to wrap up your case, ma'am.
Yes.
We've been going on for well over an hour. You've had just as much time as he has had. So you need to wrap up what's in the video.
Okay, and so, Your Honor, I did not start this case. The arguments, I started my arguments at 4 o'clock.
What else do you have, ma'am? We
Okay.
have other people who are waiting.
I concur, this is a waste of my time as well, a waste of my time. Your Honor, I have proffered how this is relevant. In this video, he states, and we're talking about the legitimate purpose of me calling for a wellness check. And that is why it is relevant evidence. And
What does the video say?
the video states, I fear for my freedom and my life, and she has told me that she will do harm to you and your son.
When was the video made?
On February 14th.
15. And nothing in that video states that she's at harm because no one would harm her.
Your Honor,
Go ahead, play the video.
You want to say?
For myself, and a
Yes.
person decided to push forth with it.
it's audio. There's two.
So I need to.
Yeah. And there are two videos, Your Honor.
And, I'm sorry.
One is
Yeah, yes. I'm
audio,
sorry.
and I had shown it to him,
He
just so
said
you're aware.
the 3 wellness checks were done on the 14th.
No, Your Honor, there were not 3 wellness checks. I called only once. If they continued to come by, then that was on the basis of the mental state, because his probation officer, he had told me
When did you do the wellness check? Was
The
it
wellness check that
14th
I-
or the 15th?
it was done on the 15th after this video.
Do I say I object or whatever, whatnot? Yes, I can object, right?
Yeah, what's the basis?
Because she's an editor, she edits and blogs for a living, so I'm kind of scared of what she could put together, one, but two, me personally, I don't have anything to do about what,
Are you saying
Honor,
that the
this-
video was doctored?
I could
Your
say
Honor,
that
it's not
because
doctored.
It doesn't even have, she has a picture of me, not even of the day on there, so I'm at worry because I've watched her make videos.
You can give, I can play, Your Honor, I can play the original. Hold on one second. If you give me the phone.
So this
that
is not
means
the
doctored.
original?
Exactly.
It is the
It is
original.
not.
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying, Your Honor. Right here, you'll notice that there is a picture. That's what he's referring to. This picture is what was added to the audio recording, because it doesn't allow for when I send it over to the police officer who
So the
took
court's not going to see the video because you've altered the video. What else do you have?
No, Your Honor, this video is not
The court
altered.
has made a ruling. What else do you have?
Your Honor, then, as it relates to this video, I am proffering again.
So I'm going to rule one more time. The court is not accepting your video because the video has been altered. What other evidence do you have for the court?
Your Honor, the video has not
That's
been
it,
altered.
ma'am. That's it. That's it. What else do you have, or I'm going to end questioning? You can refer to Rule 611. The court controls the mode of flow and evidence introduced in the court. The court can stop questioning at any time if
Yes.
the evidence is needless, intimidating, harassing, and not relevant to the issue at bar. So this is your last chance. You tell me what else you have, or that's it, and the court's going to rule on his motion. Do you
Okay.
have any other evidence?
I do, and that's what I've stated, but you're giving the impression
What
that
else do you have?
it's another video, Your Honor. I have another video. These are not edited videos.
Is it the same video that you just
No.
showed the court?
No, Your Honor.
And these are videos I'm very much unaware of.
And he is, Your Honor.
Just find the video.
Can you just play that? All you have to do is push play.
This is not a video, this is audio.
That's what I told her, it's audio.
Video.
No, there's a video and there's audio, and I told you that there is audio and a video.
If I just told you I'm being recorded,
That's the same one you just played.
That is the direct audio.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. Done.
The next video,
Nope, that's it, I'm done. The court's gonna find that you have committed an act of domestic violence and will enter the order.
and I will appeal, Your Honor.
All right, and
Because
if you
it's not
interrupt
accurate.
me again, that's your warning, you're gonna be held in contempt of court.
No problem.
So you understand the rules of professional responsibility, the court has ruled, so that's it. If you don't agree with the ruling, you appeal. Sir, the court's going to ask you a series of questions. They're just yes or no. Has the defendant ever threatened to use a deadly weapon against you?
No,
Are you aware of whether the defendant has a reputation in the community for use or threatened use of violence with a firearm?
no,
Has the defendant ever made threats to seriously injure or to kill you?
no,
Has the defendant made threats to commit suicide?
no,
Has the defendant ever inflicted serious injuries upon you?
emotional, but no,
All right. Ma'am, the court's going to order that you not commit any further acts of domestic violence against the plaintiff. You are to not assault, threat, abuse, follow, or harass the plaintiff by text, telephone, third-party individuals, or social media. You are not to threaten a member of his family or his household. You are to stay away from his residence or any place where he takes up temporary shelter. You are to stay away from his place of employment. This order is good for 1 year. During the pendency of this order, you cannot possess a firearm or any permits. If you have them in your possession, you must immediately surrender them to the sheriff's office. This order is good for 1 year. Any violations will result in a criminal charge of up to 120 days for each incident. He's made it clear, no contact. Any questions, sir?
is that also emails,
No comment.
At all?
None.
beautiful?
Have a seat and I'll get you a copy of the order.
My son
I'm gonna take it back so they can get the phone number so they can have somebody come pick them up.
All right. Okay, yeah, and if you would.
All right, that had nothing to do with you. Oh, no, I'm just letting you know. Or the court.
Thank you,
You're welcome. All right, that one's, signed. All right, who's left? I don't have anything else on my docket. I'm sorry?
Howard, the plaintiff, and obviously should be looking on the defendant.
Oh, this is the one that needs the interpreter?
No, Marcella's handler, it accidentally was not on the docket for this one.
Oh, it was supposed to be on the docket, but it didn't make it.
Yes.
What is it? Is it supposed, it's a 50B? Is it for a 1-year order of protection?
She applied, well, first
Are you Destiny? Let's start there.
she's the
Oh, okay. All right, Destiny, what are you here for?
1-year order of protection.
Against Peterkin, and it didn't make the docket.
It ended up on the wrong docket, so it's now on the right docket. I just had to write it to your docket. These people right here, that she's here for the ex parte. We want to find her.
Oh, okay, so he needs an interpreter. Okay, so sir, we have to call, well, I don't even know what I'm doing. We have to call someone, okay? And you guys can come on up. Ms. Peterkin and Halbert.
And I'll let the court know that I actually filed first restraining order on behalf of my minor child who's disabled, and she was attending my house. And then I also filed an eviction action. Okay, sure. I also filed an eviction action.
Okay, give me 1 second, let me get you guys sworn in. Oh, that's the one that bumped the calendar out of order.
Kimo, please raise your right hand. Do you affirm your testimony will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and make sure child examination?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. You may be-
All right, you can have a seat. So you're here for a 50B.
Yes.
Let me read your complaint and then we'll get started. Oh, here we go. Complaint. Are you guys housemates or you rented?
She was renting 2 upstairs bedrooms in my home, and she
Oh,
has
okay.
since vacated
So
the
you were
home.
in the home. Okay, so you did live in the home together. Okay.
Yes.
All right, ma'am, so it looked like you filed the order, but you filed it on behalf of your child.
No.
What are your allegations against her?
So I just want to make sure that we're looking at the right order, because she filed the order on behalf of her child. I did not. I filed for myself.
All right, so the one that we have here is Halbert versus Peterkin, right? So this is yours. Your order says, just briefly, just to make sure we put the right one on, I moved into the residence to rent 2 rooms at the time, and Tisha was not living there and stated, okay, I'll skip. The week prior to Christmas, and Tisha came to the residence and told myself and the other tenant she's moving back. She moved back in on January 14th. I asked Tisha to not rearrange my items because it causes me anxiety. On January 24th, while I was eating in the front room, and Tisha interrupted me by stating I was no longer allowed to eat in the room. I expressed why. This made me feel like she's trying to control me. And Tisha gave notice that my lease would end on 3/1 and accused me of having Oreos in the playroom. My lease indicated I can host Bible studies, blah, blah, blah. Mysterious spaces. It was interfere with my religious practices, cause increased emotional distress. In January, we witnessed Tisha wearing an ankle monitor. She didn't disclose she was wearing a monitor. Because of the lack of honesty, I feel I could be living with a manipulative and unsafe person. So I don't see anything that's domestic violence related. It appears that everything that's in here is like landlord tenant, and I'm not happy because she's interfering with my tenancy. But I will hear from you.
Thank you, Your Honor. So I'm seeking a protection order against Antisha because of the ongoing targeted harassment, intimidating behaviors by her, and then invasion of privacy. All of this has caused me emotional distress and fear for my well-being. So although I have moved out, the pattern of harassment that was endured, along with the likelihood of continued retaliation, I believe necessitates legal protection. And due to the targeted harassment, I've suffered financial losses to seek reimbursement for. I can go through the outline of events that happened.
In the beginning, you said invasion of privacy, and what else?
Invasion of privacy, targeted harassment, intimidation.
All right. Targeted harassment, invasion of privacy, what else? Go ahead.
Intimidation. Mhm.
Okay, intimidation. All right, you can give me your examples.
Okay. So on December 29th, Antisha moved some of my personal belongings without my permission, despite me requesting that she not do so. And the action dismissed my personal boundaries, creating an uncomfortable dynamic. January 14th, I reiterated to her my request not to remove any of my belongings due to my anxiety. There was a disregard for my request, further contributing to the controlling and invasive environment. On January 24th, Antisha falsely accused me of having Oreos in the home and continued to make allegations despite my denial and offer to provide receipts. And then shortly after the Oreo accusations, Antisha stated that we can no longer use the front table. So that is controlling behavior. On January 27th, I texted Antisha regarding concerns about her son and invading our personal space. And Antisha continued to dismiss the concerns, which continued the uncomfortable and distressing environment. On January 28th, I overheard Antisha telling her son that I don't like her, I don't want him around me, and that's an attempt to alienate me and falsely paint me as someone with ill intent. On February 11th, Antisha filed for a restraining order against me, falsely alleging that I attempted to harm her son using Oreos and paint. And that's a clear attempt to retaliate against me by making the false accusations. On February 12th, my room showed that there was interference with the lights in my room. And on that same day, Antisha allowed an unknown person to place a note in my room. And that is an unauthorized entry in violation of privacy. On February 17th, while moving out, Antisha attempted to control how I moved my items and told me I couldn't place anything against the walls. I did call the police, and they classified the incident as harassment. On February 17th, again, that night, Antisha moved my belongings again into bags without my consent and placed them by the door, including items that did not belong to me. On February 17th, again, Antisha falsely accused me of causing another roommate to move out. And then because I have seen that she was wearing a monitor, it raises concerns that harassment could continue beyond the home.
All right. Are you still in the home?
No,
You don't live there anymore?
no, I moved out
When did you move out?
on February 17th.
Is that when you served her with the DVPO?
No, I actually filed it first. My son is disabled. I have his 485 here. He has anaphylactic allergies to soybean. So we cannot, one of the rules is there's no eating upstairs. I had maid service every week before they moved into my house. There were Oreos found in his playroom after her son visited. That is a very serious thing. I did not even give her notice after immediately finding the things. I told her that that could kill my son. So I have his medical record here. I also have the medical records which show that he has a case manager named Belinda Bars because my son has Cat C Medicaid care. So that means he's technically kind of still a ward of the state. So anytime that there is something that happens in my home, I have to let his case manager know because his safety. My son has asthma, autism, ADHD. He also has BPD. He was born at 26 weeks, and he has a transient immunodeficiency. That means that if he gets sick and it gets serious, we're at Levine in the blood and disorder unit for 2 weeks. I cannot have anyone in my home who cannot respect that. And I simply told her, you cannot have food upstairs. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So his case manager came to try to talk to her to see if we could make it okay till she got out on the 1st. And it ended up in a restraining order.
You have a restraining order against her?
I filed one originally against her because there was also, I had an incident where my gas bill, just for gas, that was for the month of January, $685.69. The month before, $400 and something. And so I had an HVAC guy come out and inspect. There was nothing wrong, and he read the computer. Somebody's been turning my heat on just on auto. That's a landlord-tenant issue. I was gonna just handle it that way. But 3 days after the HVAC guy came, there was a strong smell in the house, so much so that when the deputy came to smell it, to serve her, he smelled it, the case manager also smelled it, and she was painting in the room. I went in the room to try to investigate, like any good landlord would, what was going on in the house that was making the smell so that all of us could be safe. That is what a landlord is supposed to do. I'm supposed to protect my child, I'm supposed to protect her, I'm supposed to protect her child. And then the second time that she alleges that I went in the room, I have record of a text message that I sent her at 8:38 a.m. that morning saying Spectrum will be here today at approximately 6 p.m. We will be accessing your room for 2 to 3 minutes. She responded, what will Spectrum be doing in the room? I didn't answer, Your Honor, because you cannot talk to her. Spectrum was going to be servicing the cable. Here is the order from Spectrum. They came, they serviced it. Here's the guy. These are screenshots from my camera, from my security system. Here's the guy.
So what happened with your DVPO?
I dismissed it because she was out of the house. I needed her to not do things that could hurt or make my son sick. That is it. And I wasn't going to waste this court's time when she moved out. I also dropped the eviction, even though she had left my house in a complete and total mess and took things that did not belong to her. Because I don't want to be in the court system. I don't want to waste my time coming to court with nonsense.
All right, ma'am. The court's going to deny your motion. I think she had a legitimate purpose for the contact.
What was Your Honor, what was the legitimate purpose?
She's a landlord. It sounded like from the contacts that she had with you were related to your tenancy in her house. The Oreos,
Your
I
Honor.
remember correctly, you weren't supposed to have him in the house because the son has allergies.
Your Honor, can I? So this is making it seem like I actually had Oreos when I didn't. And I believe she did state that the allergy was soybean. So I do have pictures of all of the snacks that she buys her son. And I also printed out the ingredient list for those snacks, which do contain the same soybean product that Oreos do. But I did not buy Oreos.
The contact was still about you living in the house. It doesn't sound like she's intentionally trying to harass or to terrorize you.
But it's intentional because it's false. The allegations are false. So that's why I'm trying to get protection from her, because I'm trying to prevent further false allegations.
So so you're out of the house. Have you had any contact with her?
No, but I'm worried that she's going to continue to retaliate against me for no reason.
She
I had an eviction.
voluntarily dismissed the eviction that she had against you. That's not going on your civil record. And she dismissed the DVPO, and she hasn't had any contact with you. So I don't see that your fears are reasonable. She's had no contact with you.
Okay, so it's pretty much like a person can just do whatever they want to someone and just cause distress. And just because there's a break in contact doesn't mean that they're not going to revert back to the same behaviors.
Well, it's not just a break in contract. She had a protective order against you.
From false allegations.
A judge thought at one time that you were the one that was harassing and terrorizing her, and she dismissed the order. So that tells me.
I didn't get the order.
There was
But
no, it
here
was
is the
denied.
picture of the paint in her room, so I'm not making things up.
All right, so she's had no contact with you. Ma'am, you don't have any contact with her. I'm not going to grant the order. I think her contact, she had a legitimate purpose, whether you liked it or not. I don't think it was to terrorize or to harass you. After this point, if she has any contact with you, it's been made clear that you don't want any contact with her, and then you could probably get an order at that time. But now, especially in light of the fact that not even a week ago, she had an order against you. So the court's dismissing the complaint.
Yeah, and I'd like to ask the court, could the court please ask her to change her address, her mailing address, because I'm still getting mail at the house, and I'm just saying return to sender, she doesn't live here, and writing it to the post office.
All right. Change your address.
I've already done that, Your Honor, and I would just appreciate if you would just not allow yourself to believe everything that she's saying. She's controlled this whole situation when I'm the one who filed this because of her actions against me.
All right. Thank you. All right, you guys, if you want a copy of the dismissal, you can wait. If not, you can pull it off portal.
I'll pull it off the list. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, that order's done. So does he come up here?